Chapter 10. Welcome to today's episode of our podcast, where we explore the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita, a sacred text of Hinduism. In this episode, we delve into Chapter 10, which is known as Vibhuti Yoga, or the Yoga of Divine Manifestations. Let's begin by setting the scene. The Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Arjuna, a warrior prince, and Lord Krishna, who is considered an incarnation of the divine. In Chapter 10, Lord Krishna reveals his divine glory to Arjuna, describing the many ways in which he manifests in the world. Now, before we get into the specifics of this chapter, let's take a moment to appreciate the poetic beauty of Lord Krishna's words. He speaks in a language that is both elegant and profound, using metaphors and analogies that are both accessible and rich in meaning. It's like listening to a master storyteller weave a tale of wonder and mystery. So let's begin by exploring the central theme of Chapter 10, which is the idea that everything in the universe is a manifestation of the divine. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that he is the source of all beings and that everything in the world, both animate and inanimate, is a manifestation of his divine power. He describes his presence in the elements of nature, in the senses of living beings, and in the hearts of all. As we listen to Lord Krishna's words, we can't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder. It is as if we've been invited to look at the world in a new way, to see the divine in everything around us. It's a reminder that there is more to life than what meets the eye, that there is a deeper reality beyond the surface level of things. But Lord Krishna doesn't stop there. He goes on to describe the many ways in which he manifests in the world, using a series of metaphors that are both evocative and inspiring. He compares himself to the radiant sun, the moon that nourishes the plants, and the wind that carries the fragrance of flowers. He describes his presence in the Himalayas, in the oceans, and in the sacred rivers of India. As we listen to Lord Krishna's descriptions, we can't help but feel a sense of wonder and reverence. It is as though we are being invited to see a world in a new light, to appreciate the beauty and majesty of nature as a manifestation of the divine. But Lord Krishna doesn't stop there. He goes on to describe his presence in the heart of all living beings, in their intelligence, their strength, and their courage. He talks about his relationship with those who are devoted to him, describing how he guides them on the path of righteousness and protects them from harm. As we listen to Lord Krishna's words, we can't help but feel a sense of gratitude and humility. It is as if we are being reminded that we are not alone in this world, that there is a divine presence that watches over us and guides us on our journey. And yet, for all of Lord Krishna's description of his divine manifestations, there is a sense of mystery that remains. It is as if we're being invited to explore the depths of our own consciousness, to discover the divine within ourselves. As we wrap up this episode, let's take a moment to reflect on the wisdom of Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna's words remind us there is more to life than what meets the eye, that there is deeper reality beyond the surface level of things. They invite us to see the world in a new light, to appreciate the beauty and majesty of nature as a manifestation of the divine, and to recognize the divine presence within ourselves and others. Perhaps most importantly, Lord Krishna's words remind us of the importance of devotion and surrender. He describes how those who are devoted to him are protected and guided on the path of righteousness, and those who surrender their actions to him can attain true liberation. In a world that often values individualization and self-reliance, Lord Krishna's teachings can be a powerful reminder of the importance of humility and surrender. They remind us that we are not alone, that there is a greater power that watches over us and guides us on our journey. So as we finish, let us take with us the wisdom of Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita. Let's remember to see the divine in everything around us, to appreciate the beauty and majesty of nature, and to recognize the divine presence within ourselves and others. And let's cultivate a spirit of devotion and surrender, trusting in the guidance and protection of the divine as we navigate the ups and downs of life. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We'll be back soon with more insights from the Bhagavad Gita. Until then, namaste. Chapter 11. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of our podcast. In today's episode, we're going to dive deep into the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the most powerful and transformative texts in the world of spirituality. Now, before we get started, I would like to ask you a question. Have you ever had a moment in your life where everything just clicked? Where you suddenly saw things from a completely different perspective? And all the pieces fell into place? Well, that's exactly what the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is all about. The chapter is also known as the Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, which means the yoga of the vision of the cosmic form. In this chapter, Arjuna, the warrior prince, asks Lord Krishna to reveal his true form, and what follows is a mind-blowing experience that changes Arjuna's entire perspective on life and death. So let's dive right in. The chapter begins with Arjuna pleading with Lord Krishna to show him his divine form. Arjuna is overwhelmed with awe and reverence for Lord Krishna and wants to see him in all his glory. Lord Krishna then grants Arjuna's wish and reveals his true form, which is described in intricate detail. Now this is where things get really interesting. Lord Krishna's true form is not just a physical form, but rather a cosmic form that encompasses everything in the universe. It's a form that is both beautiful and terrifying, and Arjuna is completely awestruck by what he sees. Lord Krishna's form is described as having countless heads, eyes and limbs, and is adorned with divine ornaments and weapons. It is a form that is both infinite and eternal, and Arjuna is filled with wonder and amazement as he beholds it. But as incredible as Lord Krishna's form is, it's not about the physical appearance. It's about the deeper meaning behind it. Lord Krishna's form represents the interconnectedness of all things in the universe. It is a reminder that we are all part of a larger whole and that everything is connected in ways that we may not fully understand. This is a powerful message that is just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago when the Bhagavad Gita was written. In our modern world, we often focus on our differences and divisions rather than recognizing the interconnectedness that binds us all together. But as the Bhagavad Gita reminds us, we are all part of the same cosmic whole, and it's only by working together that we can achieve true harmony and peace. Another key message of this chapter is the importance of surrender. Arjuna realizes that he is nothing compared to Lord Krishna's power and glory, and he surrenders himself completely to him. This surrender is not a sign of weakness, but rather a recognition that we are not in control of everything in our lives. Surrendering to a higher power can be a liberating experience, as it frees us from the burden of trying to control everything and allows us to trust in the universe and its infinite wisdom. So what can we learn from this chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Well, for starters, it reminds us of the interconnectedness of all things in the universe. We are not separate from one another or from the world around us. We are all part of the same cosmic whole, and it's only by recognizing this that we can achieve true harmony and peace. Secondly, this chapter reminds us of the power of surrender. It's not always easy to let go of our desires or control, but sometimes surrendering to a higher power can be the most liberating thing we can do. It allows us to trust in something greater than ourselves and to let go of the burden of trying to control everything in our lives. But perhaps the most important message of this chapter is the power of perspective. Arjuna's experience of seeing Lord Krishna's true form completely transforms his perspective on life and death. It is a reminder that sometimes we need to step back and see things from a different angle in order to gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So how can we apply these teachings to our own lives? One way is to cultivate a sense of gratitude for the interconnectedness of all things in this universe. Take a moment to appreciate the beauty and complexity of the world around you and recognize that everything and everyone is connected in some way. Another way to apply these teachings is to practice surrender. This doesn't mean giving up control completely, but rather letting go of the need to control every little things in our lives. It means trusting in the universe and its infinite wisdom, and knowing that everything will work out in the end. And finally, we can start practicing shifting our perspective. When faced with a difficult situation or challenge, try to step back and see it from a different angle. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? Sometimes a small shift in perspective can make all the difference. So that's it for today's episode. I hope you've enjoyed our deep dive into the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita and that you've gained some valuable insights and teachings to apply in your own life. Remember, we are all part of the same cosmic whole, and by recognizing this, surrendering to a higher power, and shifting our perspective, we can achieve true harmony and peace. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.